to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always, here at the Pig and Whistle in Stormwind, I go through a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This week's episode will be going over, I know I'm a bit late with this, but more WoW news, and more specifically 10.1, the Phase 3 patch for Wrath of the Lich King. We have some news on PvP for Season of Mastery. Yeah, Season of Mastery. And we have how am I going to put this? The controversial World of Warcraft token. So let's start off with the WoW news, or the weekly news as always. We have Liskanoth and the Zakali Elders as your world bosses for this week. One can be found in Thaldraszus, the other in Zaralak Caverns. We have Cataclysm Time Walking as your bonus event for the week. So if you want any mounts, or you just want to, relive some old Cataclysm dungeons, you're more than welcome to as well. Deep 6 is your brawl for the week. This is a 6v6 in 4 battlegrounds: Warsong Gulch, Temple Kot Mogu, and a couple others. And essentially it's just a very, compact game because there's less of you, so you have to do more to have more of an impact and stuff. You can't be carried, essentially. The mythic affixes for this week are Tyrannical, Spiteful, and Incorporeal, which is a bit of a weird one. I saw this and was like, wait, what the hell is that? This is a new mythic affix that has been introduced into this season. And essentially what it does, I have it right here, it essentially makes you weaker. So every now and again, it would just make you a bit weaker over time. I'm not sure if you can dispel it. I'm not sure if you have to move in order to get out of this. But essentially, it would just make your character a bit weaker. Tyrannical, the bosses and the mobs that they spawn have increased health and damage. So make sure you bring a talent build for them. And Spiteful is basically when a mob dies, it will spawn a shade, and this shade will fixate on a player and move towards them. You can simply run away from them because they will die off in their own time. Just make sure you are not getting hit by them, as they do not throw punches lightly, is what we'll say. We'll be looking at the Ashbringer this week. The Ashbringer obviously is absolutely drenched in lore. There's a Ashbringer who is a person. His title is the Ashbringer. The Ashbringer, the weapon. Ashbringer from Legion. We will be going over the Legion artifact weapon rather than the actual lore behind it, because I think that's an episode in itself, I'm not going to lie. So with Legion, the Retribution Paladins got Ashbringer, a very well-known sword in the Warcraft canon. And these are the abilities that you got as you progressed your Ashbringer weapon. You're, getting your artifact power. Ashbringer's Light, the power deep within the Ashbringer, answers your call more strongly than any of its former masters. Increase your damage by 5%. Very simple. That's baseline for everyone. Wake of Ashes also generates 5 holy power and causes all enemies hit to burn for 140% of your attack power. This is still in the game right now. Blades of Light increases damage dealt by Crusader Strike by 15%. Deflection, reduce the cooldown of your Shield of Vengeance by 10%. Deliver the Justice, increase the damage dealt by Blades of Justice by 8%. Divine Tempest, Ashbringer projects Divine Storm forward 20 yards, damaging all enemies in its path, increases the damage of Divine Storm by 20%. This is really cool. When it basically made your Divine Storm a ranged ability, which was really cool. Some paladins mess this up, though, and accidentally pull packs in mythic dungeons and stuff like that. It was quite funny to see. Echo of the High Lord, Ashbringer mimics Templar Verdict's Divine Storm damage, dealing 10% of normal damage. Embrace the Light, increase the healing done by Flash of Light by 15%. Endless Resolve, reduce the duration of Forbearance by 10 seconds. That's not too bad. Healing Storm. Divine Storm also heals up to 6 nearby allies for 150% attack power. That's actually really nice. That's kind of like Judgment Light in Classic right now. High Lord's Judgment. Increase the damage done by Judgment by 8%. Might of the Templar. Increase the damage dealt by Templar's Verdict. Protector of the Ashen Blade. Reduce the cooldown of Blessing of Protection by 10%. Righteous Blade. Increases damage dealt by Divine Storm by 4%. They really liked Divine Storm damage, I'm noticing here. Sharpened Edge. Increase the critical strike chance of your Crusader Strike by 6%. I like how nothing has really increased your Templar's Verdict damage yet. There's been one or two things, but like crazy. Unbreakable Will. When unable to act in combat for more than 2 seconds, Ashbringer will break you free. This, oh my god, this was a CC break. How strong is that in PvP? That's crazy. I didn't know Ret Paladins had that. That's an adaptation trinket, just on a 2-minute cooldown, essentially. Although you can trigger it with something that's like stupid, like in-cap roar or something like that. But that's amazing. That's still really good. Wake of Ashes, lash out with the Ashbringer, dealing 650% of your attack power as radiant damage to all enemies in 12 yards in front of you. A nice little side note, demons and undead enemies hit by this are also stunned for 6 seconds, which is really cool. Cool little feature. Wrath of the Ashbringer increases the duration of your Avenging Wrath by 2 seconds. And then you have the 5 added empowered abilities when Legion Full came out, 7.2. So increases damage done by 10% and stamina by 10%. Your Holy Powers spending abilities increase the damage of your next Blade of Justice / Divine Hammer by up to 32%. Blessing of the Ashbringer. When your greater blessings are active, you gain Blessing of the Ashbringer. Blessing the Ashbringer grants 4 strength. And Judge Unworthy. When you deal damage to a target affected by your judgment, it has a 50% chance to spread to a nearby target. A very good spread chance, essentially. Now, the Ashbringer was so iconic to bring back for Retribution Paladins. It was in the sort of poster for Legion. It was when they were showing off artifact weapons, they showed off a few, and the Ashbringer was there, and everyone knew, oh my god, that's so cool, because it was so lore significant, this weapon. It was absolutely insane. Yeah, so it's really cool that they brought it back. There's no sort of hidden stuff. I suppose the only hidden thing is Wake of Ashes. When hitting a demon or undead, it will stun them for 6 seconds. That's a really cool feature that when you use Wake of Ashes to this day, it still has this effect. So hunters who run undead pets in PvP need to switch their pet to an actual beast rather than an undead pet, because you'd have an undead pet mainly so that it can't be polymorphed by mages, it can't be, hibernated by druids, anything like that. Whereas undead CC is a lot more risky, essentially. Like, you wouldn't really have Shackle Undead on a priest in a PvP situation. It's just not good. It's a waste of a talent, essentially. And priest talent trees are very, very good right now. Or the left-hand side priest talent tree is very good. You can mix and match quite a lot of things, and using that talent point for Shackle Undead is not going to be worth. So, let's start off with the big things right now. Now, what order do we want to do this? What order? What we'll do is start off with 10.1, and then we'll go into Wrath Classic. So, 10.1.5, it came out just over a couple weeks, actually more than just under 2 weeks ago, I should say. So I'm a bit late in doing this, but I'm really sorry. There were episodes that I wanted to get out before this, and there have been changes ever since this. They're constantly updating the PTR on the 10.1.5 patch, so it's always changing. But the big thing about this patch is essentially something that we've never seen before in the game. We obviously have seen new classes in the game at the start of an expansion. So that's Death Knights, that's Monks, that is... what else? Demon Hunters. Trying to think if there's anything that I've missed. I don't believe so. Nope, I don't believe so. I believe Demon Hunters were the last one to get introduced. And finally, Evoker, obviously. So with these or with these classes introduced in the expansion, it's like, okay, these are the specs that they have, and this is it. This is kind of all that you have to them. They have actually gone and done it. They have made a new spec for the Evoker halfway? Yeah, this will be halfway through the expansion, which is unheard of. It's absolutely incredible. Now, there was obviously loads of data mining for it. They data mined loads of spells, they data mined loads of text and stuff, and they even got asked in an interview, is there another Evoker spec? And they said no. They flat out basically were saying, no, there isn't. Like, it would be cool, but no. And then, like, a week later, essentially, they released the patch, and it's got this new Evoker spec. So, the new specialization is augmentation. This is a spec that we've never really seen before. So, yeah, prepare yourselves. So, Emberthor and Abyssian are working together to release the Black Dragonflight's essence that had been siphoned from the Drakthir during their long stasis, unlocking memories and powers forgotten to them. All evokers now can choose to explore Azeroth as the new specialization, Augmentation. Augmentation is a damage dealer role, so DPS, that uses the essence of the Black and Bronze Dragonflights to amplify the abilities of nearby allies. Their playstyle centers on empowering allies to increase their damage output and using evokers' direct damage spells to improve these empowerment effects. Augmentation's core capabilities will feel familiar to Evoker players, such as spending essence, casting empowered spells, and using their mobility to navigate the battlefield. However, the specialization also introduces many new tools for the Evoker to manipulate the environment in their favor and assist their allies. You know what would be really cool? The way that they've worded this, I would be amazed. You obviously have stuff like Ice Wall and the Divide and Conquer PvP talents, where it literally puts up a barrier in a zone, so it's a line of sight. Imagine if, like, you actually did your deep breath and it made a crevice in the earth, or like in the arena. Imagine the arena at the end of like a 5-minute game. It'll be just lumps and bumps of everything. If, like, I send an orbit strike on my Moonkin into the ground, it should, like, blow up the floor a little bit, surely. You know, just make a few of them adjustments, Blizzard. I think that'll be a very cool addition to the game. It definitely wouldn't... it would literally lead to people being in one long straight line because you just can't get up, like, the steep ramp that you guys have created in the arena. That'd be quite funny. But yeah, the way that they worded it, that just popped to mind. I don't know why. The quest, the 5th essence, is available for evokers to try out their new specialization and what it means to the Drakthir at large. The quest is still under development and will be updated on the PTR through the weeks to come. Augmentation has a fully playable talent tree and many new spells for players to enjoy. A few spells are highlighted below see our web article for more information and check out Augmentation. Yeah. So, what this essentially is, here are some of the spells. So, Ebb and Might, increase your nearest 4 allies' primary stat by a percentage of your own, and cause an eruption to deal more than 10 or to deal more damage for 10 seconds. Your other spells extend the duration of this effect. So this is like a damage dealer, but at the same time you're buffing your allies. So everything that the Evoker does, essentially, is a support role. Think of it as not a healer, not a DPS. It's more of a hybrid of the two. It's a real supportive role, and you're giving your other DPS just more damage, essentially. You are there to be a buff bot. Now, obviously, this is a completely unique type of playstyle, and I think one that is needed in WoW. I just don't know where the home for it is, because if you look at PvP, this might be good. It might one-shot people, but at the same time, it could just be completely terrible and like null, and redundant. It's one or the other. It never will be in a perfect spot, this spec, in my opinion, for PvP. In PvE, though, they could be super, like, overtuned. They could be absolutely insane in PvE. You would need at least, like, 2 of these augmentation evokers just to buff 8 DPS. Imagine buffing 8 DPS in a race to world first. It's just more damage from everyone, and they're not going to do bad damage. Let's get that like out there right now. They're not going to do bad damage at all, but they're going to be giving 8 allies, if you have two of these evokers, more stats to do more damage for a very long period of time, I might add. So they might be super overtuned in one area in terms of PvP or PvE, but completely undertuned in the other. I don't think you'll ever get a perfect balance with this spec. I think it's going to be such a ball ache to balance this spec for both PvE and PvP. I would imagine this is very good for PvE, and those who do mythics, mythic pluses, are going to be looking at this thinking, yep, we're going to need one of these in every group, because it's actually insane. So that's basically the main thing about the 10.1 patch. That's the biggest change. You have a couple other changes. Essentially, you don't need to train riding anymore. You are just getting the training at a certain level. Basically, at level 10, you get your 60 mount. At 20, you get your 100% mount. You get 150 flying at level 30. And at level 40, you get 280 flying. They did say that the trainers will still exist in the world, but you'll be unable to purchase riding skills from them, which is a bit sad. That's kind of like one of the last remnants of Classic. That might actually be one of the last remnants of Classic to go in retail World of Warcraft, which is a real sad thing to see. It's nice to have them there still, but not the same. In Classic, you walk up to your trainer, you ride away on your little 60% Night Elf mount with pride. Like, yes, I am skint, but this is amazing. Like, I'm going 60% faster. I am zooming right now. So it's kind of sad to see them go. I'm not going to lie. And just a couple other bits. There's obviously balance changes. There's way too many to list here without going over the time as well. But they're constantly changing stuff. Constantly changing a lot of stuff. By the way, the biggest thing for PvP, though, was Aura of Reckoning was removed from Paladins. So this is your proc wings, your automatic wings proc. So you will only have your 1 minute wings, essentially. And a lot of people have been running Crusader now anyway for Paladins. So, it is what it is. Let's go through we'll go through the Classic Era stuff first, because that's very quick. So Classic Era obviously will have the hardcore realms very soon. And with these hardcore realms, they're looking to change the PvP system, the actual ranking system in World of Warcraft Classic. The old school rank 14 system, they are looking to change. So they released a post 3 days ago. We are preparing for a new 1.14.4 patch for WoW Classic Era to support WoW Classic Hardcore Realms. In addition to official hardcore realms, this patch will also include a large update to the vanilla PvP honor system for all Classic Era realms. This patch will completely reset all current honor system progress on these servers on Classic Era when it is released. While we do not have a specific date to share yet for when the patch will be released, we want you to know that it will likely arrive in the next 8 to 12 weeks. If you're in the middle of ranking in WoW Classic Era, you might want to take that time frame into account before continuing. If you're about to start ranking a character, you may not have time to hit rank 14 before the patch arrives and your progress is lost. Please know that we do not take something like PvP ranking progress reset lightly. The updates that we're making to the Classic Era version of the game are required for the long-term health of that version of the game. Okay, so it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. So the only problem with this is obviously if you're rank like 10 or 11 and you need 12 weeks to rank 14, it's going to be a bit close, and you got to make that call, essentially. But I'm more curious about what they've turned it into. So the old ranking system was obviously you had to just get a certain amount of honor and be within a bracket. This bracket would deem how much you go up, honor wise or percent wise, of the like level that you're on. So if you're on rank 7 and you're the highest earner of honor in that week throughout your entire realm, you'll probably go up like to rank 9. Yeah, something like that. If you're rank 13 and you're about 60% through rank 13 and you're the highest earning like honor cap, you're the highest earning honor on your server, I should say, you probably get rank 13 99%. You have to do another week, that kind of thing. It was a real grind. So I really wonder what they're going to change it to. I would be very impressed if they added 2v2s or like arenas into Classic Era. I think that is a possibility because you can just, maybe as a casual sort of game mode, who knows? New battlegrounds in there might be fun. Might be not too bad of an idea. Give something fresh to these servers. I have no idea what they're going to do in order to change up the ranking system. Maybe make it a bit easier. Maybe so that you can see your progress, see where you'll end up, see if you keep your rank, if you gain rank, if you lose rank, all that kind of things. Who knows? Who knows what system they'll come out with, but essentially this is for keeping the hardcore era, or this is for allowing hardcore era servers to become a thing. With that patch, you also have Phase 3 coming to Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Now, here's what they have to say about it. This is really good, by the way. Heed the call of the crusade the week of June 20th. It won't be long before the... Oh my god, my reading skills. It won't be long before the call of the crusade goes out across the lands of Northrend. Wrath of the Lich King... Wait. Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, lands of Northrend. Wrath of the Lich King. Here's what's in store. Arriving 20th of June with the update. A new Titan Rune Dungeon. Defense Protocol Beta. Embrace the challenge of the Titan Rune Dungeons, where you'll take on a new high difficulty in which creatures and bosses have a variety of dangerous new effects, as well as an additional health and damage. Bosses killed with Defense Protocol Beta active reward loot from the 10-player version of Ulduar. The final boss will also award a new currency, Sidril Essence. Oh, Sidril Essence may be exchanged for rewards from 10-player hard mode Ulduar gear as an animated constellation. Yeah, constellation vendor in Dalaran. Oh, that's really cool. It's catch-up gear. So the hard modes and stuff like that. Oh, that's really cool. I rate that. Trial of the Champion. Head to the Crusaders Colosseum at the Argent Tournament to begin the challenge in this 5-player dungeon. I loved this dungeon. It's in the same room as the raid, but essentially the first boss you're getting on you're jousting. You are jousting the boss. And the boss, essentially, they all give very good loot. You don't have to run anywhere. It's all within this one room, and the bosses are just basically presented to you nice and easy. The Argent Tournament. Join the Argent Tournament to undertake new quests and daily quests while showing off your jousting prowess for new rewards. Also, Wrath of the Lich King PvP Season 7 begins. Opening on June 22nd at 3 p.m. PTD, Trial of the Crusader and Trial of the Grand Crusader. Undertake the challenges of the Trial of the Crusader and Trial of the Grand Crusader 10 and 25 man raid, as well as a long forgotten raid that people would have overlooked. Level 80 Onyxia's Lair. Face Onyxia in her lair with a level 80 version of this encounter. She has loads of weapons to drop. I would very much recommend going to kill her for the weapons, not gonna lie. So this is all coming out on the 20th of June, which are 3 weeks away. That's really good. That's really good. I would have thought that they'd bring it out a bit earlier, but I suppose they wanted time for people to do Ulduar and enjoy Ulduar, because back in the day when it was released, Trial of the Crusade was released literally a couple months later, and older WoW was just forgotten about. So it gives people a real experience of that instance, because it is deemed one of the best raids in World of Warcraft. So yeah, that's only fair enough, I'd say. Now, the big one. Wrath of the Lich King had the WoW token added to it. Oh my god. Okay, so they've got a massive blue post on this, so sit back and enjoy. Greetings, we want to take a moment to talk about the WoW token in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. The best way to start this is simply say that this wasn't something we arrived at lightly. For the entirety of Classic so far, the WoW Classic team have been very resistant of the idea of adding a WoW token to any form of Classic in the Western regions, NA and EU. When WoW Classic started in 2019, adding something like token felt unimaginable to us, and that continued to be true for us even late into Burning Crusade Classic, for a few reasons. In vanilla WoW, the scarcity of gold is a major factor in how you approach your journey in Azeroth, from saving to get your first mount at 40, very true, to picking and choosing which skills you wanted to learn while leveling so you could afford a new weapon or piece of armor. Later on at level 60, some form of time investment is needed to maintain a character in the ecosystem where flasks, potions and elixirs are such a major part of the game, and resources are scarce and highly contested. This was true all the way through Burning Crusade, where potions and flasks could represent a significant weekly expense, and the resource required to make them is still quite difficult to obtain. So these are all making sense so far. It just didn't feel like Classic. It felt jarring, out of place, and was... oh my god. My brain has just switched off with this word. Antithetical? Antithetical. Yeah, okay. To what most of us wanted to relive about those early years of WoW. However, what we want to do from a design perspective and what we need to do for the good of the community aren't always aligned. And this is one of the most difficult things about maintaining a large online game like Wrath Classic. When we really looked at the state of things in Wrath Classic and how different players approach the game, we saw that we cannot cause the demand for gold to be lower. The impact of illicit RMT, real money trade, that is beyond just buying gold. It's the entire black market that revolves around gold sales. The concept of bots gets thrown around a lot, but it's not just bots that fuel this. It's compromised accounts, credit card frauds, scams, hacked clients, the tools that illicit third parties use to fuel the engine that is the real money trade. Okay. We hear folks saying like just ban the bots a lot. We ban tens of thousands of bots a week. It's not visible to you just how much we do, and that is absolutely another problem in itself. We need to do better at sufficing these actions. More on this later. The truth is we've never been better and more effective at identifying and actioning malicious accounts, and our game security operations GSO team have handled these actions, are iterating and innovating on a nearly daily basis. Oh my god, there's so much to this. They really needed to explain this WoW token. Unfortunately, in the history of WoW, the people perpetrating this illicit trade have also made better at coming up with methods, schemes, farms, and exploits to work around our efforts. As much engineering and analytics efforts we put into this, real money trade workshops put the same amount in, or more, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, of these workshops out there, all working around the clock to develop new technologies and techniques to counter our new technologies and techniques. It's an arms race, and it never, ever ends. We will never completely beat bots or real money trade. It's an unwinnable war as long as there is money to be made by third parties. The unambiguous nature of this type of thing in online games is an objective fact. It has always been part of WoW, and other popular games in the past 25 years. And it will always be a part of online games going forward. It's frustrating to fight this fight, but we will not stop fighting it. So, okay, long story short, Jesus, this carries on. I'll throw this last bit out. As mentioned earlier, we need to improve the visibility around what we do. We've posted some weeks ago that we banned over 120,000 malicious accounts in World of Warcraft alone in a large wave. So this is when they did the massive, clear out, essentially. But those large waves that we talk about are actually a very small portion of our overall actions we take on a weekly basis. God, I kind of see what they do, which is really good. Using just the past 2 weeks as an example, here are the actions our GSO team have taken. Total exploitative Battle.net account closures, 248,000. Total exploitative World of Warcraft account closures, 73,000. This is just the last 2 weeks, and this is what our efforts look like regularly, week in and week out. It's an enormous effort, and it's many, many individuals' full-time jobs to do this. This is an issue of sheer staggering scale. We have the tools, and those tools are effective, but the malicious actors come right back with new and different methods every time. All that being said, we need to post these things more, and something that our team wants to be able to suffice more often. Thank you for reading, and thank you for your feedback. So, I do agree with them. They need to communicate more. Wrath of the Lich King Classic needs to communicate more with the public. Because I see these bots, I play at very weird times on EU servers. I only see bots. I pretty much only see bots. So I can see it from my perspective that there is a lot going on. About a month or two, whenever they did the large wave ban, I was just swarmed by bots when I played at my current time. After this ban, there was barely any. It was really good. They didn't get everyone, obviously. Like they said, there's loads. But essentially, they got a lot of them, and it has been a cut down, which is really, really good. The problem with this, or the WoW token as a whole, people don't like it because they think, oh, you can just buy whatever you want. It's basically IRL money for gold, and you're paying for gold. It's true. You are. You very much are. But in the current state of the game, in World of Warcraft, if you look at Classic, 1,000 gold is quite a lot, isn't it? If you go to TBC, 10,000 gold is quite a good amount. You're deemed quite wealthy in TBC. This is without GTKPs and stuff. We'll get to that in a second. If you go to Wrath of the Lich King, yeah, about 50k. 50k is really healthy, like a good healthy source, that kind of thing. Now, if you put, this is what would have been back in the day. So back in the day, if you had 1,000 gold in Classic, you're rich. Back in 2004 to 2006, that kind of thing. When World of Warcraft Classic was released, and about several months had gone by, the release of Naxxramas happened. People were running around with tens of thousands of gold in World of Warcraft Classic. What's 1,000 gold is deemed rich in Classic. People were running around with tens of thousands and buying gear in GDKP runs. GDKP is I forget what the actual anagram is for it, but essentially you bid for gear. So a breastplate drops that's plate for warriors, and you've got the starting bid is 500 gold. It goes up to 1,000. You pay 1,000 to the guy, and you get your breastplate. And at the end of the raid, the gold that's been accumulated is split among all of the raiders. So this is how people got their gold, because people would go there not to buy gear, but as quote unquote pumpers, essentially, and they would carry the raid. So they would just be there for a cut of the gold, essentially, to carry those that did want to buy gear. So that's a GDKP in a nutshell. But people who are super rich in Classic, okay, that's fine. They are basically already buying gold, or the effectiveness at farming gold is so much better than in 2004 to 2006. The effectiveness of playing the auction house, buying stuff that's cheap and reselling it at a higher price is increased dramatically. People are just better at the game, better at making gold, clearing content, clearing mobs, killing mobs, farming mobs, just for anything, cloth, enchant mats, leather, absolutely anything. So people were literally just buying this gold as well from third-party things like third-party websites, but people can just make gold very quickly in the game through these GDKPs. And the gold that was bought on these third-party websites were distributed into these GDKPs from a very early point in World of Warcraft Classic. So the wealth from these third-party websites has been distributed for a few years now, and it's only ever increasing. So people are always going to buy gold, because if they want to spend their money on a fantasy currency, go ahead. That's fine. But the problem lies in when people buy gold, the people who are getting the actual money, the IRL money, are making these bot accounts to farm. Now, these bot accounts, what they're banning is essentially what they're trying to cut down on. And through adding the WoW token is a way of, well, you can just buy it legally now. You can just buy gold legally through this WoW token. So why wouldn't you do that? Instead of the possibility of getting banned. It's one of them things. But there's so much gold in Wrath of the Lich King at the moment. It's unreal. The whole purpose is to try and stop botting. Now, people think, oh my god, Blizzard are just looking to grab money. They're looking to just nick everyone's money. And it's... The way that I look at it is they're adding something that is a optional bonus, or not bonus, an optional item in the store where you can purchase to make some gold. Now, it is a bit scummy. I hate the shop in World of Warcraft, don't get me wrong. I think that everything in a subscription-based game should be free, and for the most part they do well with it, but anything in the shop I just don't really like as it is. The WoW token, I think, is actually a really good thing. Now, the purpose of the WoW token, you obviously have two. You can have people who buy it for gold, and you have people who buy it for the game time. Now, if you want to buy it for gold, you're trading your real life money for gold. Fine, it's your money, you can do what you want with it. Now, people who buy the token for the game time are saving money. So what the token does, essentially, if you don't know, is gives you 30 days game time on your active account. What this does is basically you can buy 10 of these. If you buy 10 of these tokens, you get 10 months of World of Warcraft subscription. So 6 months worth, a 6-month sub is about, I think it's like 49 or 59 pounds, something like that. You will be saving about 80 pounds if you bought 10 of these tokens. That adds up over the years. And that's who the token's for. It's for people who love the game, but don't actually have the money to spend on it. And, they can make a lot of gold in World of Warcraft. They can play the game for free, essentially. All they have to do is make gold in order to buy this, token. And if you spend a week making, the gold to buy this token, it's a week that you might not enjoy. You might enjoy it a little bit, but essentially you get, 22 days? Actually, it's 23 days of game time, but for nothing. And you can do this over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years. So that's the whole purpose. That's where the token is good, because it allows people to play the game if they can't afford to play the game. That's the good part of it. And this allows for bots to not be as prominent in World of Warcraft, because less people buy from third parties. like the gold, and they buy the WoW token just to sell on the auction house. That's how they get their gold instead. So it means less bots because no one's buying from the third party. So why are they making more bots? There's no point. They're putting time and resources into it for no reason at all. And I just don't get the massive backlash from it, because it's I understand that it's not a most pleasant thing to have in the game, where people just think it's a pay to win. Sure, you pay for it, but let's face it, it's already a pay to win. Wrath of the Lich King Classic. There is so much gold in the economy in Wrath Classic right now that it is already pay to win. So this changes nothing, in my opinion. This only benefits people who literally want to save money, IRL money, to play the game that they love. That's it. I myself have already bought a couple tokens on the auction house. And I don't think, oh my god, this guy's just gotten, 14k or whatever it was on the first day, like, worth of gold. I've thought, I've just spent about 28k. I bought like 2 tokens, and I've gotten 60 days game time out of it. That's 2 months. That's about 20 quid. Like £20. How good is that? That's what I think when I buy a WoW token. I don't think, oh my god, I've just given this guy 14k gold. This is ridiculous. I just don't get it. I just don't get where the hate comes from. Like, WoW Classic and its economy is already so inflated. Everyone has so much gold already. It doesn't matter. Like, I get that people buy gear and stuff, but everyone's going to find an effective way to gear their characters. That's it. That's all it is. And if people want to spend their real life money on gold, so be it. So be it. I'm very much a supporter of the WoW token on the basis that it allows people who want to play the game but can't afford to play the game to play the game without having to pay for the game, which is amazing. And I think it's one of the better things in the shop. I still don't enjoy the shop as it is, but I think it's one of the better things in there. Wow, this is a long one. Oh my god. But I will end it there. Thank you all very much for listening. As always, please do check out the socials, Twitch, YouTube, constant stuff happening over there, as well as the Buzzsprout support for the show. It's a massive help if you go and check that out. I love doing these for free for you guys, but the extra support would really go the extra mile, and it would allow me to do so much more. But thank you all very much for listening once again, and go with Valor, friend. Goodbye all.